Bem-vindos ao painel do Prime Video! Todo ano, este é um dos painéis mais cheios de surpresa da CCXP.
E sempre com muitos atores e atrizes vindo compartilhar com a gente o que vem por aí.
Verdade, verdade. Ano passado a gente teve por aqui o elenco do Invincible, inclusive com o Robert Kirkman, né, o criador da série. Teve The Expanse e, cara, esse ano não vai ser diferente,
Não
Carol.
vai. Tem muita coisa aí.
É isso aí. Para começar já, ó, com o pé na porta, vamos lá. Porque a vida de quem é fã de livros em séries não é fácil. Milhões de pessoas chegam a esperar por décadas para verem as suas histórias favoritas ganharem vida nas telas.
E dessa vez não é diferente. Temos agora uma série baseada numa série de livros publicados entre 1990 e 2013. É uma saga imensa que nunca foi adaptada para a TV.
Nunca até agora.
Até agora.
Até agora. Mas a espera acabou. E a gente vai sentir agora um gostinho pequeno da série Roda do Tempo, que está fazendo já um sucesso enorme no Prime Video.
Bring the false dragon.
Why is this man chained? Gentle as he is, he poses no threat. Logain Abla. Do you know why you're here?
Do you know what they say about you? Aes Sedai, the further you get from this tower, that you are weak. Weaker than you have ever been. 100 years ago, if a man stood up and said he was going to the White Tower to throw the Amerlin seat from her throne, no one would follow. They'll kill me for even suggesting it. But when I said I was coming for you, I had an army at my back within the year. And even your little parade showing off your prize. You know what the people will remember? They will remember that one man fought against 9 women, 9 mighty Aes Sedai. And that I still staked that green bitch to the wall.
Olha, eu tô empolgada. A primeira temporada de A Roda do Tempo estreou já no Prime Video mês passado e é incrível. Você tá assistindo?
Tô assistindo, lógico, lógico. Toda sexta-feira ali, ó. Tô ali paradinho na frente da minha TV para não perder nada. Olha só, e é por isso, né, por esse sucesso todo que você está falando, que é um prazer enorme agora a gente receber aqui, para conversar um pouquinho mais sobre o Roda do Tempo, Rosamund Pike e também Álvaro Morte. Hello, hello! Welcome to CCXP.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure. Hola, hola. Hopefully next time, both of you can come to Brazil and maybe premiere the second season, okay?
Yeah, I would love that. I've never been to Brazil. It's always somewhere I've wanted to go to.
Oh, amazing.
This is the first time that the Wheel of Time saga is adapted for TV, and knowing that the book series has gathered millions of fans around the world since the first volume was published, how does it feel to star in such an anticipated production?
Well, you know, the Wheel of Time fan base has become actually a great ally for all of us. You know, I think we started off feeling intimidated by the massive readership of the books. And now we realize that they're on our side, they're firmly on our side, and they're just so appreciative of the fact that this series that they've loved for years, that's almost been like a religion, is suddenly going to be part of the culture for many, many people worldwide. And we've actually been very moved by the reactions to the trailers, the way that they've been dissected. And so as an actor, there's so much goes into the making of any film, any series. And, you always know or assume that, people are only going to get a fraction of the detail that you've put into something. And in this case, I think every second is going to be analyzed by this passionate fan base.
Yeah, it's like a huge responsibility, It's like when you make all the kind of project, you always have this responsibility that's connected to yourself, to your work, to what would you do in the shooting set. But now that you have all this fandom all around the world, it's like that responsibility gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But as Rosamund said, we just made it with love and trying to do our best with the respect to the saga. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna like it. So I'm so excited and nervous for the reaction that have been kind of good and people is kind of very happy with the show. So very happy with it.
Nice, very nice. Well, let's talk a little bit about the characters. Rosamund, your character, Moiraine, is both a guiding beacon for those who aren't familiar with the saga and the one fans are dying to see, right? How do you manage to balance these expectations and also introduce it to the old school fans and newcomers?
I think one of the things is, for me it's interesting because I haven't played a character over this amount of time before. I haven't done a long-form television series ever. So, the idea that I don't have to, I can hold things back. I can hold things back for a whole season if I want to. I now know that we've been picked up for season 2, so I've got time. I don't have to reveal all her secrets straight away. And that's a luxury for me, to know that Moiraine is a character who holds very few people close. She's not good at intimacy. She prefers to be a kind of lone wolf, although she has her warder, who's played by Daniel Henney, Lan, and that's a very, very close bond, but it's professional. It's a very, very close professional bond of loyalty, love, and friendship. But in terms of her real private life, we know very little about it. I think she's a very intriguing character. She's mysterious, intriguing. She's clearly powerful. But she just doesn't give her secrets away.
I see. Well, Álvaro, your character is surrounded by mystery and has an intriguing background. What is the biggest challenge in playing someone as Logain Ablar?
Well, the biggest challenge, is like I was that I jumped into the series like in just a few days. I made the audition and they just called me, hey, Logan is going to be you, so come here around Prague and let's begin shooting like this. So I didn't have the time to read the books, to prepare the character as I used to do, like a lot of research and stuff. So to jump into that ocean, which is the saga, with a cloth in the eye, was kind of a huge challenge. But I was holding Ray Judkins' hands, who's a showrunner, who's done an amazing work. I was holding also the hand of these people who we have in the set, who are experts in the saga. So they don't allow you to do anything which is not in the books. So you are kind of controlled, you are guide. They were our warders actually in the in the set. And for me, there was a decision that I made talking with one of these girls, one of these experts, because Logan is this kind of messiah with an army behind him, and if you read the books, it could be a character, like taken out from a Matrix world. He's always dressed in black. He's a cool guy, elegant, cold. But for me, that was just kind of the wrap of the character, And I was so interested in knowing what is happening inside that shell, right? But of course, it was a huge challenge, and I love challenges. So that was a decision and the biggest challenge.
And Rosamund, your character uses her powers by moving her hands. How did you come up with those battle choreographies? And did you act like imagining what's happening, like thinking about CGI in the future, how it's gonna end?
Yes, with the channeling, I think I felt that was one of the things that drew me to the character. I thought I had a really interesting opportunity because of the way Robert Jordan, who wrote the books, writes about the One Power and the use of it. He describes it very much like a drug, like a narcotic drug, that people are born with the ability to channel it and the feeling of it. It fills your veins. It's not like something that you can just sort of have at the tips of your fingers. It's something that passes through you. It's like the entire elemental force of the universe passing through your body. And it's delicious and intoxicating and like a narcotic, but the risk is that if you can't learn to control it, it will overpower you and it will sort of burn you from the inside out. So I read all this and I thought, okay, so I can't just rely on visual effects for this. That would not be interesting. I need to feel the cost of using this power. This is really interesting what he's describing. I think that any massive physical feat, whether it's sport, whether it's, singing like a level of an opera singer or, performing anything at a very high level, what is the cost on the body? That's always my question. And I wanted to see what the cost of calling down a lightning strike is. Where does that sit in the body? So you say, was I thinking about the effects? Yes, definitely. And I'm trying to feel that I'm physically wrangling something, that there's a weight, to the arm movements, that there's a feeling that you're bringing something in to you and through you. And that's just how Moiraine expresses it. I think the beauty of the One Power is that every woman will express it in a different way, and there's room for that in this series. I just went with the direction that interested me.
Mm-hmm. And I can say that looks fantastic on the screen. And now we have one last hoop for you guys to jump through. We'd like you to answer these questions from the top of your head. Don't put too much thought into it, okay?
Okay.
If you could take one personal object to help your characters in their adventures through the world of the will, what object would you pick? Rosamund, you can start, please.
Is a horse an object? Can I have a horse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A horse? Yeah. I'll have a horse.
I would give Logain an iPhone. I'll give an iPhone because you can.
He's one step
use
ahead.
Google Maps
He's one
to
step
guide him.
ahead, you see.
Yeah, yeah. You can use Google Maps to see where you're going through your path and take maybe a selfie with your army of Galdanians and there's a lot of time in White Tower when you are captured and many hours there, so you can use it to connect to Amazon Prime Video and watch The Wheel of Time.
You have a point. I have to let you guys go, but you have a huge fan base here in Brazil, both of you. So to end this, do you want to say anything to your Brazilian fans that are watching here at CCXP?
One day. I've been dreaming of Brazil for years. One day, soon, I hope, I will come.
Yeah, me too. I would love to. I would love to. So I love that country, the music, the food, the people. So I'm really wishing to go there as well. So a big kiss and hug for all of them.
Oh, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and you're welcome to come to Brazil anytime you want.
Thank you.
Thank you. Obrigado. Muito obrigado.
Bye.
Ah, thank you. Obrigado. Muchas gracias.
Gente, tudo nessa série foi certeiro.
Não, verdade, demais mesmo. Eu não li os livros ainda, mas eu tava vendo a série e realmente me chamou muito a atenção, cara. Não é fácil, não. Tô até pensando em começar ali, fazer aquela maratona, né? Um pouquinho do livro, um pouquinho da série, e assim a gente vai seguindo aí. Aliás, vamos seguindo também o show aqui do Prime Video, Carol.
Certíssimo. E todo mundo aqui que já tentou vai concordar com uma coisa que eu vou falar agora. Escrever um livro é bem difícil. Agora imagina escrever 25 livros.
Ah, e não é só isso não, né? Vamos dizer também que não é só escrever, tipo, é transformar tudo isso daí em best-seller, best-sellers icônicos. Com a maioria desses livros, cara, é uma tarefa, assim, tipo, gigantesca.
Pois é, e para conseguir algo assim, você precisaria ter as habilidades e confiança de alguém tipo o Jack Reacher. O que você acha?
Jack Reacher, perfeito esse nome, Carol. O Reacher é alguém que basicamente conseguiria cumprir qualquer missão e tarefa, e para quem duvida disso, segue aí o trailer da nova série, Reacher, que o Prime Video está prestes a lançar por aqui.
Jack Reacher, retired Army, Special Investigations Unit. What if I'm thinking you don't mind killing? And do you have the knowledge and training to cover it up?
You'd be right.
Ó, caramba! Para fazer tudo isso nesse nível, tem que ser realmente um Reacher, né? Mas ó, não é só criar e escrever o Reacher, que é uma tarefa difícil, não. Tem uma outra tarefa que é ainda mais difícil, que é ser Jack Reacher.
Pois é, e só existem 2 pessoas no mundo capazes de cumprir essas missões. Vamos receber agora o criador Lee Child e o próprio Reacher, Alan Ritson.
Opa! Whoa! Hello, guys. How are you? Thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure to have you here, and it's very exciting because this is the first time that you're doing this kind of Comic-Cons, and you're together to talk about the series that Prime is going to show very, very soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us. So very excited to be talking about this now.
Well, Alan, how did you first meet Jack Reacher? Were you a fan of the books before? And what about him drew you to take on this role?
I'm in the business of creative myself, and I'd spent a few years writing my own screenplays and telling my own stories, and so I just hadn't spent time in these books, and when I became aware of this as a TV series, this was something that I got invested in, and I regretted having missed a couple decades of. It's like I binged Lost after it was done, and I missed the fact that I couldn't have enjoyed it while it was on week to week. I have some a little sadness around that, but I couldn't put it down once I was engrossed in the books, and I read, there was 24 books at the time, and I read 24 books in 8 months, and then I started reading them again just out of pure enjoyment. So I really fell in love, and I feel very lucky that this role and this character found me.
Well, Mr. Child, how and when did you know that Alan was perfect to play this iconic character?
We did the screen tests, and they were delivered to me just as video files, and I was looking through them, and I clicked on one, and absolutely right there, the way that even before he spoke, the way that he held himself, he looked like a military officer, recently retired, the way that he conducted himself, his manner, you could see the brain working. I gotta say, as a tribute to American talent, we saw a lot of great actors. And I was thrilled that they would be interested in doing the part. But when I clicked on Alan's test, I just knew, you just know, this is the guy. And what I've seen subsequently is one of those lovely experiences where you hope that it's going to be as good as it could possibly be. That's your target. And actually, it's better than I thought it could possibly be, simply because of Alan. Plus, it's got to be said, incredibly strong supporting cast that make it just a blast from beginning to end.
I just want to add on to that. I can't agree with the last bit of that statement more. The supporting cast in this show is it's Emmy worthy. I mean, their performances are just will be talked about. You know, I feel just like, you know, my work was a little bit of just a hub, and you have these very interesting satellites that really make the show what it is and give it the character and color that it deserves. And every single actor in the show, you know, did their job in spades.
And talking about your experience, Alan, you've covered sci-fi, romance, fantasy, and comedy in your acting career. Would you say like any of these previous works prepared you for taking on Reacher?
That's a good question. You know, Reacher's unlike anything I've done. I've had a very schizophrenic career. I mean, it's sort of got its own mind. You know, playing a superhero one moment and you know, a cop the next. You know, I think, you know, I did a show that nobody saw called Blood Drive, where I played a cop with a good heart in a kind of a post-apocalyptic world. And I would say maybe that's the closest thing that I've played to something like this. But I think Reacher is vastly more multidimensional, and you know, the way that we've sort of internalized much of what's going on with the computer in his head, you know, it was new. So, you know, it definitely expands on anything I've done before, if anything.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's very nice to hear. Well, Mr. Child, Jack Reacher's confidence seems unshakable. He's a great fighter in all aspects, physical, mental, and verbal, as you were saying. And how does the TV show Reacher brings these characteristics to the screen? As you once said, you read the books, right? You don't write the scripts. You're not thinking on TV adaptations when you're writing books. What kind of crazy situations are we going to see Reacher getting himself into and out of?
We're going to see a lot. And the very first one for me was the really important scene for me in the pilot was we spend a certain amount of time getting to know Reacher in various scenes, in various situations, but then he goes to prison. And the key moment for me was the next morning in prison, he is challenged by a prison gangster. And to me, that was the moment when Reacher is truly delivered to the audience. But it's also, to me, it was when the producers delivered their version of Reacher to me. This was all the cards turned over. At that moment, I was going to know exactly where their heart was when it came to portraying it. And that fight in the book is super brutal. And it doesn't do Reacher much favor, in a sense, because Reacher cheats in order to win. And it is the most comprehensive victory you have ever seen in the book. So I was curious to know, are they going to go 100% in this scene? And actually, yeah, they go 150%.
Allow me, adding to that, how was the preparation? You got like a new kind of martial arts that you had to learn. And second, have you got like a piece of cloth or a line that makes you get into the character?
Yeah, yeah. The stunt coordinator walks up and slaps me in the face, says, "You're ready now," and then I go fight. No, you know, this is actually more of an answer to your question. Two questions ago, I think, about what roles have prepared me. I think the progress of my career as far as action roles are concerned has been quite serendipitous, because I've I played a UFC fighter. I was a Ninja Turtle, where I worked with 8711 and those stunt guys, some of the best fighters and the best action sequences in the world, and many other action roles, right? So, I was a dagger specialist in Hunger Games, so I learned how to handle a dagger. I was able to bring all that, and then just when I thought, okay, there's really nothing else to learn as far as this action stuff goes, like I'm going to go in and we're gonna ground and pound a little bit, and Buster Reeves shows up, one of the most talented artists as far as stunt fighting and designing is concerned. He's got a style unlike anything else. He really helped reshape the Batman franchises with Christopher Nolan, designing the look of those fights, and we've seen something new come out of that. when he presented me with what Reacher's fighting style would look like, I genuinely, was the first time, I don't back down from anything, but it was the first time I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I can do anything I put my mind to, but this I may not be able to do. I've never seen anybody move like that, using elbows and knees and toes in ways that require a kind of precision that, only people who've been doing it their entire lives and were born for that can do. But we set to it, and every day, just hours and hours and hours, they just ground me into the dirt, and I'm thankful for it because it shows. I think on screen you get to see Reacher's style, and it's really unlike anything else. It's clean and precise, and it's a lot of fun to watch. So it was months of training, and I haven't had to do that before. Usually I walk in and just kind of learn the fight. This was a particular style that really only a handful of people can do.
And to let you guys go, Alan, without spoiling anything, what was the most badass scene to film?
There were a lot. I mean, there's a lot vying for the top spot on that list. But there was a fight that happens over the course of an evening, and it kind of goes in and out of a house and outside in the backyard and into a pool and underwater. It was absolutely epic, and it's one of those things where on paper it sure is easy to put that ink on a page and say that those things are going to happen, but bringing that to life is the physics of it is just an entirely different story.
Let me just say my favorite was one single blow, and my wife, who is not a natural thriller fan at all, she loves this scene. Because we have a thing in our family, there's a movie called Shakespeare in Love, and there's a discussion in that what makes a great play, and it's this and it's that and it's the other thing. And a bit with a dog is essential. And there's a bit with a dog in season 1 where out of everything else in the show, this really demonstrates Reacher's humanity. He intervened on behalf of a mistreated dog. And in the end, he kind of runs out of patience with the owner. And that single split second was my wife's favorite part of the whole season.
Wait, so that's all it took? I mean, because I spent 7 nights in that house to shoot that fight. That's all it took was 1 foot. Okay, all right.
That was nothing, man.
Well, thank you very, very much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing us with your audience. We cannot wait.
Yeah, and all our best to everybody in Brazil. Have a great time.
Amazing. Thank you very much,
Thank
guys.
you very much. Great to see you again, Lee.
Good to see you, Alan. Take care.
É muito curioso, né, ver que o criador de algo tão cheio de ação, porrada, explosões, é um cara super afável, assim, que fala manso. O Lee Child é muito legal, né? Muito fofo.
E o Alan Richardson, cara, eu quero ser amigo desse cara, né? Muito gente boa.
Mas calma aí que eu acho que tem mais gente vindo aí que você vai querer ser amigo também, gente.
Opa!
Porque é virtualmente impossível manter algo renovado quando a gente não abraça mudanças. E, felizmente, este não é o caso. Sabe por quê? Porque a gente está falando de Star Trek.
Star Trek não, os velhos que nem eu, a gente chamava de Jornada nas Estrelas.
Você é jovem,
Fernando. Eu fui jovem, ó, muito tempo atrás. Mas olha só, não tem nada na cultura pop que defina melhor essa junção entre renovar e evoluir. Já são 55 anos definindo a ficção científica e mudando o jeito de fazer e assistir TV.
Pois é, tão enorme que só dá para ser levado adiante por milhões e milhões de fãs e seguidores fidelíssimos.
E como foi levado adiante, né? No ano passado, a gente foi apresentado a Star Trek Picard. E agora estamos prestes a adentrar na segunda temporada do programa, que chega exclusivamente no Prime Video em fevereiro de 2022, em mais de 200 países e também nos Estados Unidos, no Paramount+.
Vamos dar uma olhada no trailer dessa nova temporada de Star Trek Picard e conversar com o elenco da série, incluindo Sir Patrick Stewart. Juro,
eu quero.
I first saw you as a man who chose the stars. But after all this time, I've come to wonder, have you been seeking or running?
Do you recall what I said, Jean-Luc, when last we parted ways? The trial never ends.
Q, I am way too old for your bullshit.
Guys, we got big problems. Something moved us.
back in time and turn our world into a totalitarian nightmare.
Do you understand what this means? Time has been broken.
I will get us home together. The only way to heal our future is to go back and repair the past. There are ways of traveling in time.
Great. Now what? Welcome to the Earth of the 21st century.
You're saying we can undo this nightmare?
Let's go to work.
You can pilot a starship, but you can't drive.
You two really need to work on your communication. Right. See, there you go. Now you're in sync.
We have 3 days before the future is changed irrevocably. But even in the darkest of circumstances, there is a light.
Where are you taking us?
Home.
Welcome aboard CCXP! Hello guys, how are you? I wish I could beam you up straight to Brazil. Hopefully next year, all of you can be here with us and talk to your Brazilian fans. But before we start talking about Star Trek, I know that you came to Brazil, Sir Patrick, and played table football with Luis Felipe Scolari, and, or as you call it, Big Phil. How was that experience, sir?
Just to be in the same city as that extraordinary football club, and as well as the national team, was thrilling. And the table soccer, as I recall, was uneventful. I lost, of course, I was beaten. And if you're going to be beaten, being beaten by Brazil is probably as good as it gets.
So, and you, Michelle, what are the memories from your visit to Brazil at our last CCXP?
I had the pleasure of coming to the Comic-Con in Brazil. Gosh, it just feels like years ago now because of the pandemic. So whenever the last one was that we were all in person, I did have the pleasure of going there, and it was wonderful. The fans are just warm, and the country's beautiful. So it was a gift.
Something I should mention, because I don't think I have before, was that I actually worked in the theater in Brazil, in Rio and Sao Paulo, in 1962. We did, I think, 2 weeks in each city with the London Old Vic Company, and it was an extraordinary experience. The audiences were, because we had been in almost every capital city in Central and South America, and the Brazilian audiences were remarkable.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's fantastic. Well, Sir Patrick, you had a slew of offers to reprise Jean-Luc Picard, and you passed on all of them. But then the script for the first season of Picard came around and had you change in your mind, to the point of in production it as well, right? Did you feel like the changes presented in Picard's outlook met your own personal changes throughout the years, or was it more like a new challenge for you as an actor?
That's a huge question, and I would need at least 5 times the amount of time we have now to answer it. No, I did turn down the offer that came from CBS and from Alex and Akiva, because I had felt, ever since we wrapped the last movie of Next Generation, that I had said everything that I felt needed saying about that kind of science fiction. And I only wanted to say this to them face to face and be as polite as possible. Mm-hmm. But then they asked if they could talk to me about some of their ideas, which they did. And I asked to see them on paper. And when I read them and talked to them again, that's when I agreed to sign up. Because they were talking about a show that changed, had gone through massive development. And the one thing that pleased me was that they wanted Picard to be, they wanted me to match the age of Picard, so that not only had I experienced 18, 19 years of separation from this, but Picard had as well. And that was one of the strong attractions.
Mr. John, you were also away for quite a while and told us yourself that you would be reprising Q for the second season of the show. However, you also told us not to expect the same lovable, annoying trickster we are used to. Does that mean Mischief is completely out of the picture, or is it still there, just disguised to better fit the character evolution?
Well, before I actually answer that question as to what it is that got me there, what to expect, the first thing I asked was, "You're not going to be putting me in tights, are you?" And they said, "No, no, no, no." So I said, "I'm halfway there." And they said, "No, we want you as you are, beard included." The character is the same character, but also has matured along the way. So annoying, I'm sure, from Picard's point of view, very annoying. But from our point of view, the audience's point of view, it's a more mature and, dare I say, perhaps more dangerous Q. Certainly one who is motivated now by certain other elements other than just the storyline, personal elements, as it were. I'm still mad, bad, and dangerous to know, but at a more profound level.
And now you, Michelle. When we think of Raffi and JL's relationship, it's impossible not to notice how she's the actual driving force behind all the changes in Picard's approach to problem solving. If Jean-Luc's teaching optimism is an unstoppable force, Raffi's justified bitterness is an immovable object. Do you think that the dynamic will ultimately propel Raffi towards redemption, or is it life that needs to redeem itself to her?
Such a good question. And I'm going to co-opt that justifiable bitterness as an immovable object. I love that. It's a great question. And of course, Raffi's influence is what guides Picard, because Raffi's always right. Just saying. Honestly, I think, Raffi, she's such an interesting character because she is, she wears her heart on her sleeve. She really does. She's as vulnerable as she is passionate. She carries wounds for a period of time because she is so committed to what she feels was right, and having been wronged, it hurts her very deeply. She's hard, it's very hard for her to let things go. So in answer to that question, I almost think from Raffi's point of view, I think she thinks life needs to redeem itself to her because she feels let down and betrayed by the commitment that she's given it, and she feels that she's been a bit abused by it. She wears those wounds proudly.
Well, I know our time is almost over, so I'm going to suggest a play here. Usually we think about a desert island, but what item would your character take to a desert planet? Could be anything. Sir Patrick, can you start, please?
My item would be a lifelong subscription to the New York Times newspaper so that I could see once a week the science supplement. I had a very, very, very modest education, and it included almost zero science. And the science supplement that I think is always on a Tuesday is giving me an education. And I really don't want that to stop, because week by week, it makes me feel more and more qualified to be Jean-Luc Picard, because, in fact, I'm not qualified at all.
How about you, Michelle? I mean, Raffi's.
What would Raffi's choice be? It's funny because I thought about that question. I'm like, well, Michelle would probably take her Peloton because that gives me like something to do every single day. I think Rafi probably, you know, it's like that's a tricky one for her because she would like to be, I would say a replicator, but it's really like a transporter. I mean, it's something that would connect her to be able to see what's happening, to be able to, you know, access things, you know, maybe her tricorder. I think maybe her tricorder, because she could maybe be able to figure some things out. But she'd probably, even if she was by herself, she'd still be thinking like, what is everybody else doing? Where is everybody? What can I do? How can I get to everybody?
I see. How about Q? John, Q?
My deserted planet would have to have an ocean. And because it had an ocean, I would take a sailboat, which would allow me to continue to explore. That's what I would do.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, thank you very, very much for your time. It was a pleasure to talk to you. And hopefully, next year, all of you can come here to Brazil and we can go anywhere without the pandemics going around and maybe have a party, I don't know, anything. Thank you very, very much for your time.
Thank you.
Bye, Michelle. I love
Thank
you.
you.
John, I love you too. So good to see you.
Ai, que demais, olha só. Bom, você viu ali, né? Você deu uma bronquinha, ele falou, ó, a pergunta tá meio grande aqui, mas eu devo dizer que essas daí que passaram foram simples ainda. Tinha coisa pior ali, tinha a nerdice, você sabe que vai fundo quando o papo é Star Trek, né? E por falar em Star Trek, agora a gente vai ter por aqui uma surpresa que pouquíssimas pessoas do mundo estavam sabendo, tá? E olha, se a gente for listar o que esse cara aqui já fez, a gente vai achar ali coisas como mais de 100 programas de TV, ganhador de centenas de prêmios, mais de 600 filmes. E isso é só ali o comecinho, a pontinha do iceberg.
Ó, ator, diretor, escritor, poeta, produtor, ícone, músico. Eu acho que a gente pode só chamar de força da natureza. O que você acha?
Acho ótimo. Esse cara é uma sensação global há mais de 50 anos. E em sua nova aventura, Shatner in Space, será compartilhada com a gente muito em breve.
É um olhar detalhado sobre sua viagem recente ao espaço a bordo do Blue Origin, um projeto sonhado por Jeff Bezos após conhecer o trabalho mais icônico desse homem tão notável.
Vamos lá, vamos dar uma olhada nas primeiras imagens desse especial de 1 hora que documenta a ida de William Shatner para o espaço.
When you're up there, you see this beautiful, vulnerable, blue planet. Remember, it's just our origin. And you guys are here at the beginning.
Weightlessness. Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God.
This is
Oh, wow. I can't believe this. No description can equal this. Everybody in the world needs to see. There is Mother and Earth and comfort, but what you see is black. What you have given me is the most profound experience I can imagine. I'm so filled with emotion about what just happened. It's extraordinary, extraordinary.
agora temos conosco para conversar em primeira mão sobre este documentário. Por favor, recebam William Shatner.
What an honor! Welcome to CCXP, Bill Shatner. How are you, sir?
Wouldn't it be awful if you were introduced like that? And here he is, and people go, "Who? Who's that? Who's he talking about?" Wouldn't that be like that?
That's impossible, sir. That's impossible. Everyone knows you. Well, it's impossible to talk to you and not to start mentioning Star Trek that premiered 55 years ago this year, where you played Captain Kirk. Could you have ever imagined at that time that you would one day travel to space?
Of course not, any more than I could imagine that this interview, this appearance in front of all these people will be recorded, and 50 years from now, they're going to play this whole thing and say, "You see, this is how it's done." I mean, can you imagine that? No. And that's the same way with our show.
Well, and tell us how the opportunity for you to travel to space with Blue Origin came about and some of the people you worked with and got to meet along the way.
Let me see where to start. A friend of mine who was a producer, his name is Jason Ehrlich, and Jason said one day a couple of years ago, "You know, Blue Origin's sending some people up into space. It'd be great if you went up." And I said, "Oh, Jason, nobody's interested." No, you should go. No. And he called Seattle to Amazon headquarters, and they were interested. So they said, "Come on up." So, okay, I'll go up. So I meet Jeff Bezos, whose lobby of Amazon is filled with paraphernalia belonging to Star Trek. He's got the spaceship, he's got the Enterprise, got that, and he posed for pictures with me, and he was just wonderful. But he's a real science fiction fan, and especially about Star Trek. So that was like good. And then we had this meeting, and you should take Shatner up in this thing, and people will watch, and yeah, maybe. And we left. They hadn't promised anything, but it looked good. And then the pandemic hit, and everything was shut down for a year. And then at the end of that year, about 6 months ago, Jason Ehrlich says, "I've read that they're going to send somebody up there now, and they're getting ready, and I think Jeff Bezos is going to go up. Why don't we call?" And no, I don't want to. I don't think. And then Jeff Bezos picks his brother and a lovely lady and a young man, and those are the 4 people going up in space. So I said, "You see, Jason, nobody cares." So up they went and came down. Second shot. Jason Ehrlich says, "Yeah, second shot." I said, nobody goes in for seconds. It's like being vice president. They want the president. No, the president's busy. We'll give you the vice president. No, I don't want the vice president. I want the president. So I said, second shot, nobody's going to watch, even less people. No, you should go. So then I thought, it occurred to me in my usual thinking mode, which is about 6 o'clock in the morning, lying in bed, thinking, going up into space, the Kármán line, which is 60-some miles up in the air, and weightlessness, which only, you can't describe weightlessness because there are no words in the English language. There are no words to describe weightlessness because nobody's invented a word. Like, what's it feel like in your belly? What's your heart doing? What is your head doing? What is your ballast? Do you vomit? What happens when you're weightless? And how would you describe it? Well, all you can do is say, well, have you ever been dizzy? I think that's what it's like. Vertigo? Well, no. No words to describe. So I thought, I'll go up there. Maybe I can find a word in the English language that describes weightlessness and the thrill and going into space. And then I had to go through all the training that they put you through, mostly consisting of going 11 flights up the stairs for this gantry that they had next to the rocket, getting up 11 flights of stairs at 4,000 feet altitude. That was my first big thrill, gasping for air. And then I got in the rocket. But what I saw when I looked out that window was black. No stars, no nothing. sun in my face blocking the light. All it was black as death. That's what I saw. No romance. Then I looked to my left, and what did I see? I'm trying to involve you in this conversation.
What was it?
What did I see?
I don't know. What was it?
A little blue dot.
Oh.
But it wasn't blue. It was beige and white and blue. And I saw the curvature. So it was defined. If you follow that curve around, you come to an end. It isn't 13.8 billion years. It's, I have driven across the United States. When I was a kid, a teenager, I thumbed my way across the United States and back. It's limitless. The roads go on forever. Takes days. It's never ending, the Earth. Except when you see it from above the Kármán line. And you look at it and think, my God, that is so small. It's a tiny, tiny dot. Okay? I think of it as an oasis where you're in the desert of space and you come upon this oasis where there's water to drink and air to breathe and shade from the never-ending drumbeat of being bombarded by all kinds of rays and things that we don't even know about that are affecting our cells. We're protected. Oasis.
Well, sir, you have a legion of fans in Brazil to whom we are talking right now. Can we expect to see you around here anytime soon? I mean, Brazil is closing there in space, right?
Yes, but it's also filled with a lot of people. Yeah, it's the Brazilians. First of all, the language is the most beautiful language of all. That Portuguese is so mellifluous. I wish I spoke it. It's the language of poetry, I know. And the Brazilians are not only this great people, the most attractive human beings you can imagine are Brazilian. My goodness. and out of Brazil and the cuisine and the great forests and the coastline and everything about Brazil is magnificent. The people have to meet the magnificence of their country.
Leslie, is there any new item in the list of things you can get behind?
That I can't get behind?
Yes.
I can't get behind a slow bus. I can't get behind hatred. I can't get behind racism. I can't get behind pollution. I can't get behind that one. There's so much we shouldn't get behind. We should be in front of and lead it elsewhere. Project it into space the way Jeff Bezos would like us to do.
Fantastic, sir. Thank you very, very much for your time. It was a pleasure.
Thanks.
I know all Brazilian fans are really excited to have you here. So, really, thank you very much.
I'm there virtually. On another time, in another place, maybe in another world, I'll come in person. I want to visit Brazil very much.
Fantastic. You're more than welcome. Thank you very, very much, sir. Amazing.
Pleasure to see you. Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye, sir.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Muita emoção para um dia
Olha
só.
só o que é isso. Meu, Capitão Kirk e Jean-Luc Picard no mesmo dia. Ó, vou embora.
Não, volta aqui que tem mais. Volta aqui que tem mais.
Olha isso que o CCXP acabou de proporcionar para mim. Não dá, não consigo, Carol.
E esse documentário promete, né?
Nossa, vai ser demais. Vai ser demais. Quero ver agora.
Ó, e falando em saga, falando em Prime Video, como não falar também deles? Os nossos meninos. 2022 é logo ali e em breve vamos retomar a história de The Boys.
É, isso aí é verdade. A espera foi longa e difícil, mas Butcher e companhia voltam muito em breve. E assim, pra gente não ficar passando vontade, vamos dar uma olhadinha na mensagem que um certo Carl Urban deixou aqui pra gente.
Bora.
Oi, Brazil. Hope you guys are having an amazing CCXP. While we may not be able to be there with you this year, and we certainly can't wait till we can be, we want you to know that me and the boys have been working hard, giving Soups hell, and we cannot wait for you to see Season 3. It's going to be truly insane. Now, there is no question that you guys are the greatest fans in the world. And as a special way of saying thank you to you, we've got a little surprise for you, which is going to drop early next year. While we've been hard at work on Season 3, Eric, Seth, and Evan have asked a few of their celebrity mates to cook up 8 deliciously unique, twisted, animated episodes set in the world of The Boys. You might say they're diabolical. Can't wait for you to see them. Trust me, you'll love them.
Tá aí, ó, lançamento da CCXP, temos Diabolical, então aí, em breve a gente vai ver aí essa animação no universo de The Boys.
E tá aí mais uma que eu vou ter que reassistir para ir compensando a saudade também até eles voltarem, né?
Verdade, verdade. The Boys é sempre bom reassistir.
Sempre.
Galera, então é isso, muito obrigado, esse foi o painel de Prime Video. Gostou das novidades?
Uhul.
Então vamos lá, ó, comenta aí. Usa a hashtag CCXP Worlds e vamos lá que tem muito mais CCXP ainda rolando por hoje.
Até já.
Whoa, oh my God. I see the
See you later.
We have to try everything. Drink.
Hello.
Keeping this for later.
I don't care about the show. I just want a good blooper reel.
I want to learn science.
You guys are going to make me look like I'm in the show, right? You're going to put in the effects. Replace the green. I don't want to look like an asshole here.
Sorry.